in today's society, everybody, like, if it work, we run with it. Yeah. And everybody be like, oh, it worked. It worked. Yeah. I'm gonna be second home third. Yeah. Get on my motherfucking face. Please. Push the goddamn button. Yeah, action.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Grae Area Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Shakoya D.
Sir Breezington here. It's your boy Damani.
And welcome to the Grae Area. If this is your first time here, welcome. Sit down, have a seat, enjoy yourself. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back and joining us for another episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And also, if you guys want to join the good people of the Grae Area, join the family, and watch this podcast live and early, because we do record our podcast at least 1 to 2 months in advance. Make sure y'all join our Patreon for the low price of $3 a month. You can you can watch this podcast as well as other behind the scenes content live. And I forgot the end of my sentence. But just make sure you join Patreon, because we got a lot of stuff coming for you, as well as our food review show.
Who made this?
And some other stuff that we have going on. We appreciate you guys for being here. And yeah, let's get into it. How y'all doing today?
Good, I'm good. I cleaned a little bit earlier. Got a little revelation. A little clarity. I watched my dad, the bounty hunter. The spirits, right? Good.
No, good. I'm good as well. Yeah. Woke up on time. Had a good nap after. It's good.
Yeah. You good? I see you got a little baby swoop going.
Yeah, I woke up, did my morning pages. I washed my hair, and I still need to get the products that I had when I was at mom's house, but I washed my hair, and then I went to the store. I bought a pot and a pan, and it just felt great. So I'm doing really good. I'll probably do some cleaning and stuff after this, but
I like how you caught yourself. Like when I was at mom's house.
Oh yeah, because I always said when I was back home. I mean, like, it is still home. It's weird because I was writing about this the other day. Like, that is still home, because that's like, I mean, where we grew up, but also like where the family is. But also, like, this is home because, like, this is where I am now. Like, this is where I live now. So, I was writing about that, and like, I don't know if it's a thing where, I don't know. I don't necessarily fully identify with the locations, but it's like the people are what makes it home.
Right.
I feel like, versus it actually being like the state or the city or whatever for me.
But what we talking about today?
Today's topic is about stealing like an artist. Before, when I heard it, whoever coined the term, I feel like it's used very loosely. So, and then it's looked at as you're stealing, you just don't get caught. Like, you steal in a way to not get caught. But what I come to realize recently, stealing like an artist isn't stealing at all. It's inspiration, being inspired by, at least for me, it's being inspired by other artists, other people, other things. So, I'm stealing like an artist. I'm being inspired by something. So, like, you got a green hat on, I might be like, you know what? I never thought of doing green. I might throw green into this or something like that. Or maybe it's like, that's what I was missing. A little swoop. You know, I look the same. I'm going to just add a little swoop to the... Yeah, it's just being inspired by different things and using it to push yourself and whatever you're doing forward and try different things and see what happens.
Okay. Well,
You good?
I don't know. Okay, so I didn't know the topic beforehand, guys. So. I'm just really thinking because I feel that, but I feel like not artists still in that way. Not all artists. So like I feel like what you're saying is I get inspired by something and it causes me to create something new, right? Versus a lot of artists, they get inspired by something. Not all artists, but there are some artists who get inspired by something and rather than creating something new, they just they take it and they just use that exact thing.
Yeah, some of y'all just stealing.
Right. It's just regular. It be regular stealing.
Some of y'all just stealing.
There's no finesse. Right. But so that's why I was just like thinking like, because I know we did talk about this topic maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, I feel like we did, but now I just had a new awakening.
Yeah.
Like, stealing like an artist isn't really stealing. It's a thing of, I like that. I see that you did that. This how I would have did it. And then it's a lot easier to give credit to, oh yeah, nah, they did this, he or she did such and such, and it inspired and moved me to, or I got that from them, or I never knew to do it like this, so now I'm a...
Yeah. I also think, too, it is stealing, but it's taking it and then adding on to whatever you're doing. It's not just taking it's not like literally just like a copy, paste. It's like a copy, let's add, let's make alterations to it. Let's
take stuff away.
Yeah, like I think that's more so what it is, because this stuff, there's, whether it's songs, whether it's art, where it's like, this was, if you know about the history of it, you can see the direct influence of it. But if you don't, you might think that this is a completely new thing, you know? So just, it's really more so about adding your flair to it, adding you into it. It's not just, it's almost like having somebody giving you like a demo, like if you were playing a game or something, like they give you like a starter character to start with, and then you're adding stuff to it to begin with. That's how I'm looking at it now. It's like, all right, this was the default, the basic stuff that you started with. This you didn't make the character, so but now how you dress the character is indicative of who you are or whatever. But a lot of people just be stealing. They just be taking the whole thing, no credit. And it's like, we know, and I think there's art to stealing, because I think if you're going to take something, you should take it from far enough away where it's not like you taking from
like
somebody's here right now, because granted, I think you should be inspired, but you could be inspired by whatever. But like, if you take something from older, it's you're a lot less likely to encounter the same issues, because like they were doing things completely different in a different time. So like, if we talking about fashion, like the fashion trends, that's why they say the fashion trends repeat. We're not repeating the same trends from 2 years ago. It's like they're repeating trends from
decades.
Yeah, because it's like now we can wear these and it'll feel different because there's more to it. We're adding a little bit more to it, as opposed to when it's too close to the original. It's like, nah, I know exactly where you got that from. You sound like Ja Rule. You sound like blah blah blah. Like, yeah.
But I feel like there's also a very fine line, and I feel like I said this before, there is a fine line between, I guess, stealing like an artist and just stealing. Like, from being inspired by it to create something new versus just taking it and being like, all right, this is mine now type of thing. Because I feel like we can use Tory Lanez as an example. With the whole Cassidy situation, where Tory Lanez was like, I was just paying homage. What did he do? He rapped his whole verse or something like that, or he took his whole cadence?
It was the same cadence, almost the same few lines in the Flex freestyle, or it might have been the Sway freestyle, but it was same again, something like, it's one thing if you would have did it and put it on a song and then put the song out. Yeah, it was the same beat on a freestyle, so it's like now it's like a 1-to-1. Like I see exactly what you do. Like
But that's the thing. So like in his head, he's like, oh, well, I was just paying homage to you, and Cassidy's like, nah, you just stole my whole thing. Like, yeah, you flipped a couple words, but you basically just read my verse type of thing. So that's why I feel like there's a fine line between using something as inspiration or even like paying homage to somebody versus just taking their stuff and being like, yeah, this is mine.
Now for me, it's kind of like cringy. I be wanting to do it. I just want to take stuff. Y'all know, I was like, give me that. That's fire. But shout out to y'all. Y'all made me realize that that's.
It's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you.
But it's because I think people are stealing stuff where it's like it'll be people's signature. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's like you taking a little bit of
a random thing that they did one time. It'd be like, nah, this was like their biggest.
Yeah, it's like taking Michael Jackson's like one glove, but like
I mean, he performed. He had the one glove.
He did. But if it's like, all right, he had one. Let's say if you had one glove and you moonwalking, it's like, bro, you.
Every show.
Yeah, you like, what are we doing here? Like, why are you taking? Like, I can get every like a one off, but people will just be. Yeah, like I'm fire. It's like that wasn't fire. You recognized that something was great already. That's it. That's not really.
Yeah.
We all like it, so. But.
I think it really depends on how you do it, like, and because like I mean, especially as a singer, like you can sing somebody else's song and then be fine because you're doing a cover of the song, but. Sometimes I don't know, it's just like a weird thing. It's a very weird like line, but you'll know typically when you're paying homage or you're inspired by something. You'll see the influences and stuff like that versus you just decided that this was your look, this was your thing, this was your cadence that you were going to start using now, even though it's already been done. And I think that's where it gets tricky. Because people be doing that and they don't be caring. But I know for me personally, if you take my stuff, I'm going to be feeling some type of way. Like, that is going to upset me as a songwriter. Yeah, so I think it's a certain way to go about things.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I don't think I made it to that space yet, but I feel like I would probably feel some type of way. Mm-hmm. If you take it and tell everybody that you got it from me, that's fine. That's one thing. But if you take it and then try to make it your own, then it's not gonna sit well with you.
But that's the thing.
Then you're gonna get a verse.
That's what that's what people be doing. They'll take it and then they try to be like, oh no, I made this up. And sometimes like you might think that you made this up, but sometimes it's like, nah, this other person already been doing this. And you gotta be aware of that. Like,
Yeah, that'd be the thing.
All I was gonna say was, I think if you do it correctly, people won't know that you did it, right? So when it becomes so blatant that it distracts me from listening to you, and all I'm thinking about is the person who originally made it, then you haven't done a good job. Because like if I can clearly, unless I really study whatever it is, but like, for the most part, if I can't see past the influence. Like if I'm listening to you or if I'm looking at your work and I'm like, this feel like Picasso. And I can't let go of the fact that it feels like Picasso. It's like you haven't done enough
to make it your own.
Yeah, because it's like this is too much of them and it's a distraction from the art that you were trying to create.
That's true. I never thought about it like that. Like, it is a distraction a lot of times. Because a lot of times you're sitting there like, where did I see this from? And instead of, like, actually taking in whatever you're looking at or whatever you're hearing or feeling, it's like you're just so busy trying to figure out where this feels so familiar, but, like, where did I just see this at? Like, even when we was downstairs, I was singing, what was I singing? I was singing Usher. But you were, and this is not them taking the song or whatever, but I was singing, dang, what song was I singing?
I have no idea. I thought she was singing a different song. It ended up being a SZA song that I thought she was singing. Because she was humming the melody, and I was like, I was like, what is that? It was like, I was like, why do I know that melody? And I'm trying to figure it out. I was like, oh, that's it. And she was like, that might be SZA. And I was like, yep, that's the song. But she was singing a totally different song.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name. I can't remember what Usher song she was singing.
That's what it's made for. You know I got it. Ain't gonna put it down like that.
So when she was
But that's the only part I was singing.
she was like you know I got it, and all I heard was feeling like oh yeah oh.
That's completely different.
Right, but that's all I heard. That's what I said. It's a totally different song.
Totally different song.
Totally different song. But that's all I heard was that little, and I was like, oh, okay.
Because I was only repeating that one part. I wasn't even singing the rest of the song.
And I was like, she's not singing that song, but what song am I thinking of that I think she's singing? And it just was stuck. I was like, she's like, SZA. I was like, thank God.
But just using that as an example, even though that's like, those are two totally different songs, but using that as an example of like, he could not move past the fact that like, I feel like I heard this before. Like, what song is this? Versus actually being immersed in whatever the original song was, or whatever you're actually listening to or looking at. It just kind of takes you out of that moment.
For me now, it's more of a thing of, does this sound like me? Like, if it's like I in good conscience, because I talked so much throughout my life. I've wrote so many amazing bars, so many amazing stories. I can think of something on my own. Like, even if it's inspired by them, I will have to say it the way I would say it, and then it would have to feel like me. And
and I think there's an art to like starting, like using somebody else's stuff as a starting point. Because I've done it before, where it's like, all right, I just like this little bit of melody, and then I'll kind of like, how can I vary it, and so that it feels like me, but I still get a similar feeling that I had when I heard the original piece of work or whatever. So. Yeah, I think it's there's an art to it, but there's also times where I think, because I remember there was a time when I was it might have been high school, and I'm talking to my boy, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, yo, he sounds like 5 different people, and I can't figure out who he really sounds like. And I sent it to him, and he's like, man, I'm not about to sit here. He's like, you about to have me sitting here for an hour figuring out if he sounds like Kendrick, Cole, Jay-Z, blah blah, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I was like, in that moment, I realized how distracting it can be when you don't make stuff sound like you more, because like he had a million influences, and you can hear all of the influences, but you couldn't actually hear him outside of the influences that he had.
But on the contrary of that, in today's society, everybody, like, if it work, we run with it. And everybody be like, oh, it worked. It worked. Yeah. I'm gonna be second home third. Like, everybody want to be the next such and such instead of the first or the one and only themselves.
But I feel like I feel like me as a listener, though, I'm like, I want to hear you. Like, I don't want to hear the fourth Chris Brown. Like, I want to hear the first you and what that sounds like and what that feels like. Because it's like, I don't know. I feel like that also, I guess it differentiates you actually really creating versus you just, copy pasting, stealing, like however you want to put it. But like, I feel like if you really sat down and created this thing, and I mean, you could create this thing and it may still sound like somebody else's thing, and that might be an indication that maybe you need to write for other people. But also, like, as an artist, I found I don't know why this is so hard for me to actually get this sentence out, but I find joy in finding me in the in whatever I'm doing.
Yeah,
So
me
like,
too.
so I know that a lot of my stuff doesn't necessarily sound like other people's stuff, and I feel like in the past when I was like little, when I first started writing, it's like you have people in your head that you're like, oh, I want to make a song like this, or I want it to sound like this, or like if I could sound like Brandy or Jasmine Sullivan, that would be amazing. But like really walking into like what you actually sound like versus what you're trying to sound like, I think that makes a huge difference in your art, in how your inspiration shows up, in how your sound appears. And even if it sounds it might sound similar to somebody else, but we can still differentiate that as you.
Yeah, I feel that. I used to be like that too. That's probably why I was rapping, like how I was rapping. Because in my head, I'm like, my life not even that. But now, as I'm like growing and actually understanding me, and I'm experiencing life, it's nobody that can tell my story how I would tell my story, or
That's
say stuff
true.
how I would say it until I actually say it, even if it don't make sense. You know how long it took me to figure out how to stay on topic. I still be struggling with that. But in the past, when I used to get like stuck, I would be like, all right, how would such and such do this type of thing, and then I would get like a line, inspired-esque line, and then I'll get back to me. I just needed a starting point, like how you were saying, like you would have a little melody or something, and then.
Go from there. But it's funny because I initially I wasn't trying. I was trying to sound like people, but I wasn't necessarily like trying to make the song like similar to anybody. It wasn't until I got older where I was like, well, I mean, this is actually a step that I kind of skipped. Like I just kind of went into like, all right, the only person I would probably try and sound like would have been my brother at the time. And then once I stopped trying to sound like him, it was just me writing stuff, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get better. And I was trying to mimic not necessarily like what they would say or how they would say it, just like the technical parts of it. And then as I got older, when it was like, and I'm trying to make more, just see what I like about other people's stuff. In me trying to like mimic and see what they would do, how would they actually say this? It opened up a different part where I was like, oh, this is where people stay. Like people get here and they have so much fun in this space where they just stay. And then sometimes people get really good at mimicking people where it's like, wow, this sounds so much like this person, which is like, it's a skill to be able to do that, but that's not what the goal is. Your goal isn't to sound like. So it's not supposed to sound like Michael Jackson. You're not supposed to make the paintings that look exactly like Picasso. It's supposed to be a inspiration, because everything is inspired by something else. But you have to, like, at some point you have to deviate. It can't just be the same.
Yeah.
Don't just come in my house and take my couch and be like, look at this couch I designed myself. Like, that's crazy. My house. My bad.
I forgot my thought.
I got one. For me, I can only speak for myself, so that's what I'm gonna do. The more I consume myself, if we stay on music, the more I consume myself with different kinds of music, different types of music, the inspirations come from random places, and it's a thing of I don't even know where they came from. It's just a feeling, or this will sound good here. Not even saying the same words, or it's like taking a whole line or a whole chorus hook or feeling. It's just it's like opening receptors in my mind. That's the easiest way I could put it. So it's like the more open you are to the more open you are to like listening and experiencing other music, other artists, other genres, the wider range of creativity you could go to, or you could pull from.
Yeah, I saw somebody say online, all originality is when you have so many influences that you can't tell which one, like where it's coming from. So all of them kind of blend together. You have no idea where it's actually coming from, and that's why it feels familiar, but in the same aspect, it's something completely different. Because I feel like like I feel like it feels like I can't stop listening to it. It gives me this kind of feeling, but then you're like, but it's not that, and that's where we typically have the most enjoyment from that stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it helps me to appreciate different music.
Yeah.
And I'll be wanting to listen to different stuff, like, and this, you be like, oh wow, they did that. A lot of times I don't even be listening to like the words initially. I mean, I feel the vibe first, and then the second listen I could see what you're saying. But now I'll be like, instrumentation, what instruments? Oh, like this one, I think it was John Baptiste.
Mm.
It was a song, he had a Spanish artist on there. She was singing, she was doing her thing. It was fire. The end of the song, after she started singing, it was a slight beat. Actually, it wasn't a beat switch. He just brought some drums in, and it was the smoothest one transition and the smoothest drum pattern to me that I heard. And I was like, that's good. That's good artistry. Like, that's good. Like, so I just be appreciative of people actually being creative and like a individual and bringing them to whatever medium it is that they express themselves in.
Yeah. I think there's also like, I don't know, I guess as a consumer or somebody looking at the stuff or listening or whatever, it gives a different experience. So like I feel like it's kind of fun to figure out or learn who the artist is through that lens of like, oh, this is you, not this is you by way of somebody else, like through, I don't know, this is your version of this thing. And sometimes like that can be cool too, but I don't know what I'm trying to say for real, but I'm trying to say it.
No, it makes sense.
It's just like, because when you can really see who the artist is, it creates a connection that you didn't have before. Versus like if you know that this is like, all right, I heard somebody do this song already, and you just sound like them, and there's no like piece of you that I found in here. It's like I don't have a connection to you. Like I'm just gonna kind of move on, or I might like the song, but after that I'm not gonna want to like come back. It's not gonna make me be like, you know what, I wonder what else they released, you know, type of thing. Or even like if you're doing some type of art, I guess music is art, but I mean like physical like paintings or drawings or something like that, being able to see parts of the artist and who they are through whatever they're creating, and even to be able to see their inspirations is actually cool, as long as it's not like it's only all inspiration and I can't see any part of you. I feel like that then it's just like ugh.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like, I hate this analogy, but I'm gonna use it anyway. It's almost like if you're looking at artists like restaurants, like if I would, there's a reason why people like going to Chick-fil-A, right? Because like if you go to Chick-fil-A, you're gonna get a certain type of service, certain type of food, whatever, right? Now there's other places that make Chick-fil-A-esque food, right? But because they've done a great job of making it their own, like they're not the first place to make chicken sandwiches. You know, they're the first place to do it in the way that they did it. And so anything that feels like an offshoot is like, I can get something that's like a substitute, and I may love the substitute. I'm like, nah, everybody's just hyping up the Chick-fil-A, but I really like Shake Shack. I really need me some
Shake Shack. Is good.
Some people love it. Some people are like also.
I did when I was a carnivore.
Can't eat that no more.
I did like me a good
Shake Shack
chicken sandwich.
Say. Go ahead.
They was smaller.
Yeah, but it's different, and you have every restaurant in the same way every artist should have their own like identity. So like when I come here, I know exactly what you're getting, and I think one of the examples I was thinking of was 50 Cent. He was talking about Ja Rule, and I mean I heard a lot of people talk about this, but like Ja Rule, initially they were saying he was trying to be like Pac, somewhere between Pac and, well, not DMX, but mostly Pac. And then, but you see when he got the most success when he was making his R&B like women records, and it was like him doing the, even with like when you start wearing the bandana, blah blah. It's like this isn't, we don't necessarily need another Pac. We appreciate you for you making the song. What would I be without? Like Pac wasn't doing that, right? And it's like we appreciate you for that. And then in the same way, like I know they say like DMX was like he filled a void that Pac after Pac left. That when you go to X, you know exactly what you're getting. Like it's like this is the, if X was a restaurant, this is the, we are getting Rough Riders anthem. Like, we are getting like you are getting up in here. Like that's the burger you get. Like you're not gonna get an up in here burger from nobody else. And if they do try and get it or do try and copy it, you know, man, if you don't get your fake up out of here burger out in my face, like this is terrible.
But then also, even when they add something new to the menu that you never seen before, it's still in their style. So it's not like a thing where like, oh, you just kind of took this from this person. It's like, oh nah, this still actually feels like you. Like alright, let me try this new thing out right quick.
Maury, I was gonna ask y'all about that. Is it good to know what you're getting, or is it does it hurt an artist if they're constantly switching?
I think it helps.
Well, maybe I don't want to say switching, but constantly trying new things out, and it's still in their voice, still in their style, but it's just different.
Yeah, I think you just have to give people, because people will grow with you. I just think it can't be too drastic. I think you have to walk people, because people don't like drastic changes, no matter what it is. People don't be liking drastic changes. You've been going to the same restaurant. You've been getting your same chicken sandwich. All of a sudden they're like, it's no more chicken. It's Impossible beef. What happened to me? I wanted the chicken. I like how y'all did the chicken in the peanut oil. That's what I wanted, you know. So I think if it's a gradual change, I think people accept it, and I think like Kanye is a good example, because like he had his entire like college era, and then he was already singing a little bit. Then it was like he switched over to 808s and Heartbreak, and it was like it was a change, but it was still kind of within the same wheelhouse. He still had the bear. It was still like a part of what it was. So I think you can do it. People will give you room to experiment and change. It just can't be drastic, because if I came here for this one thing initially, and you completely don't do it without a heads up, like I think for artists, like if you were starting out, if you were just rapping, if you was just boom bapping, and then on the next project you were completely singing, people would be a little bit like, yo, I don't know if I was ready for that. I was expecting this. And some people will stay, but I think if you kind of like tease it in between, people will be like, oh, he was already kind of leaning towards this already. Now I can expect this, as opposed to like smack.
Yeah, I feel like your true fans will like grow with you, and allow you to grow, but also like that for that transition, that's what singles are for. Like, so you can be like, okay, I'm about to do something that's real pop. Let me give you this, like, you know, pop-esque type of thing. Or I'm about to do something that's a little bit over here. Or, like, just to kind of slowly see how, I don't know, how it's received, but also to kind of, like, prepare your fans and stuff like that. So that it's not like, okay, I just did, like you said, a boom bap album, and then this album is rock. Like, heavy metal. Like, what? How did we get here?
Yeah.
But
I started thinking about something that was wild, so I'm not gonna say it.
But I just think like the transition. I think also we're now in an age where it's like, since social media is such a huge thing, your journey with your fans, like you letting them in on that journey, they might not. They might be more receptive to the change if you've been releasing content where you've been talking about heavy metal more. You've been talking about how your love for heavy metal and like how you've been playing with different sounds and stuff like that. I think that helps with the transition as well, and it gives you the opportunity to grow gracefully rather than to drastically change. Because I feel like sometimes a drastic change is fine. Like, depending on who you are as artists, but also there are times where like the drastic change might be detrimental depending on how you change or what changes or whatever. But I think the main thing is like, does this still feel like you? Because if you change too drastically without any warning, without any content associated with the change or anything like that, your fans might feel like, I didn't even know who this person was. So was this the real you and that the old you was the fake you? Or like, was this just for money? Like, I feel like that's a possible, it could potentially lose the connection.
Yeah. I heard Missy Elliott say, she said it's important it's a reason why artists change, like, in the way they do, because, like, when you start saying, she said for her, she looks at it as errors, so, like, that's the reason why you get the super duper fly, and she's dressed in the big clothes with the suit, and then you switch over, and then you start getting, like, the work it, and it's, like, all of this stuff, so changing in errors gives people the opportunity to grow with you and see everything that you have, as opposed to you trying to be like, hey, listen, I started out as boom bap, but I'm a dancing rock star now. And it's like,
You know what?
You do what?
I think I've been doing a good job of transition. Because '98, I was literally just rapping. Then I dropped singles. I dropped singles from, like, a couple from there. And then I dropped, like, a couple. I was still rapping, but then Lonely Loner, that was more of me and my thoughts talking to myself. And there's a little melody in there, but I got mad covers that I was to just be like, yo, yeah, we gonna sing. Wait till I get the vocals right. We gonna sing though. But I'm still rapping though, so.
Yeah, but that helps, like, you have, because social media is so huge, it's like, all right, well, we have, like, extra content that we can make in between. There's singles that you could put out. There's covers that you could do, just so, like, it's like, oh, okay, this is what you're doing right now, or like, this is the sound that you're playing with right now, versus like, in the past, like, I mean, going about it as far as eras is like actually a really good idea. I know a lot of artists do that. Like,
I mean, if you look at Rihanna, everything before Good Girl Gone Bad and after Good Girl Gone Bad, it's like she went bad girl and went, everything was it was savage. It was like everything followed after that era, because before then she was like Caribbean princess kind of thing. Like, and it was just like a big switch, but it was, again, those other factors that went into it. But the eras made a huge difference. That's why you get the, like, she probably wouldn't put out like a Disturbia right now, because that was a very specific time, like not a specific era, and it's like she's not doing that versus like the you look so damn right now, like that. Like, she's not putting that. Those probably aren't coming out again, because she's moved in totally different directions. Granted, it's still all her. She probably always wanted to go into fashion and makeup and everything, but giving people enough time to catch up, because like you're especially as artists, you way far ahead. You thinking
once I finish the song, I'm over it.
Yeah, you mad far ahead, and they still like,
all right, the project is done. I'm not this person. That's how long it took me to make this project. This project changing.
So I tried to leave him in the past. Y'all got me out here rehearsing. You want this again? It's like, nah. But that you got to give people time, because you went through. It took you a year and a half to make this. They got it a year late. So like, at the very least,
to it in 30 minutes. Oh, I like that. I'm going through that right now.
Yeah,
I went through them 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like you're a little bit ahead of the curve. So you have to at least give people time to catch up. You like, listen, walk with me, talk with me.
Yeah,
like, I see you, but
this is where I was.
Yeah, you know.
This is where I am now. But when you get where I am now, I'm gonna be.
I have what you need. So That's really what it is. We trying to predict the future, or
Giving back.
Giving back pretty much.
Essentially, like we're learning from whatever we've gone through and we're putting it into an album or singles or an art collection, and we're giving that to the world so it'll help them get through the phase that we just were able to get through. It's like, I did this, so listen to this, or vibe with this and connect with this, and this will help you get to the next space.
I can't lie though, as a consumer, if I'm taking off my artist hat, keeping it on though, but as a consumer, I've been caught by the I miss the old version of this person, or I miss the old, just hearing, because I remember where the album took me when I was in that spot. It was like, dang, you got me right when I was going through the exact thing. And so the changes that although I'm not I don't hate the changes, I might be like, dang, it feels like it's missing something. And then when I find out a lot of the reasons, what they were going through, I was like, oh, you was going through a terrible time. I as much as I would love to get music that felt like this again, that was some terrible times that made this beautiful work of art.
Right.
I don't want you to go through that again. But, just so as a consumer, sometimes we don't, we got to give people
the grace.
Even though sometimes it'd be hard. It'd be like, that's why you hear a lot of Eminem fans. I miss the old Eminem. Blah blah. When he was, I was like, you mean when he was depressed and on drugs, and he was talking about cleaning out his closet, all of this other stuff where he was actually going through very traumatic stuff.
It's like people be wanting you to suffer so they can get their little fix. And it's not. Life is about healing.
Yeah, but I somewhat get it, because it was like you had a moment with the art, because it was like, oh snap, if this is I'm going through this, but the person who made it might not be going through it anymore, but you're still in that spot.
Listen to it again.
Yeah, but sometimes they may be like, oh, you put up you're expecting the next thing to give you.
Just as much.
Yeah, just as much, or to be a continuation of the last thing. And it doesn't have to be. It's not supposed to be.
I was gonna say, sometimes it will be, but sometimes it just won't be. And I think that as consumers though, we have to realize, taking my artist hat off, we gotta realize the artist is a person as well. So just like I'm giving myself space to grow in my life, or maybe you're not giving yourself space to grow, and if that's the case, you need to give yourself some space to grow. But if I would give somebody else space to grow, just like in their regular life, you got to give the artist some space to grow as well. Because they still might speak to that whatever you're going through, but it might be in a different way. Or maybe they're not speaking to that specific thing anymore, but it still might relate to what you're feeling. But you won't know until you listen, or maybe you don't connect with it anymore, and that's okay too. But there will be another artist out there that you can listen to that maybe you can connect with.
Or I got two things. The first thing is, along to what y'all was just saying about the artist being human, and just like you don't want to stay in whatever miserable situation, the artist does not want to stay. They just using their platform to express it, and then that goes into the fact that being yourself and just being authentic in who you are. Everybody be feeling the same stuff. Maybe today, tomorrow, yesterday, the feelings are recycled. So as long as you're speaking from a true place, an honest place, somebody is gonna feel it. It's gonna touch somebody. Even if this is where I started and this is where I am now, it's a certain audience for where I am now, and it's a specific audience for where I was. I was just gonna say that. So regardless of what you're talking about, how you feeling, there's an audience for that, for whatever project. But if the music is good,
I heard of course people will be like, you want the old me, buy my old stuff. But then you see examples like Drake. He's like, I heard y'all wanted the old Drake, I'm gonna give you the old Drake. I don't know how that is gonna play out because I haven't heard the album yet. But it's I get it. But in the same regard, you have to give people. Sometimes I think as the artist, you can miss the point of where people initially liked you. Like you can move past and be like, you can completely forget about the point where like people liked you because you were this. You know, so that's when we were talking about like the transition having to be a gradual one. But I think when you try and go back and get the old, like the real old feeling back, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't hit.
I don't really even know how to do that because I'm not in the same space. I'm not in the same mindset. I'm not even around the same people. Not doing the same stuff that I was doing. In the past, so it's like now it might be the same. I might be rapping, but now it's an enlightened rap. Now it's enlightened, like
growth and positivity. But this is a real side note. I wanted to know. I didn't grow up listening to Common like that. I had just saw a clip of Common rapping. And I was like, he really just be rapping about positivities. Like, it really be positive raps. Like, it's not even like it's bad. I just was like, it's just really positive, but I don't really want to hear it right now. And I felt bad. I was like, damn, am I a trash person for not wanting to hear some positive rap? But anyway, that was just the red.
So no, you might be toxic.
Might be.
Toxic.
I don't subscribe to toxic healing.
You're healing.
Yeah, but
when you get healed, throw some Common on it. If you want to keep listening, that's how you know you made it.
That's what I'm saying. But he can rap. That's the crazy part.
Your hat gonna change when I'm going to have to comment.
It's like
I like Common.
I like Common.
I never listened to his music before.
But he can really rap. Like he does. I was like, oh, why he can rap? I was listening and I was like, wow, I never actually paid attention to what he was actually saying. Positive stuff. Subscribe, but yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, he is a really good actor too.
He is. Yeah.
Very talented man.
But also with the going back to the original topic, when I thought of how Drake typically takes, because people be saying Drake be stealing, but like how Drake takes some stuff, and I know they like with XXX Tentacion, he was like, oh, he stole my whole flow. Flow's a
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, he stole my whole flow, which is right. Most people didn't notice, and I think it's also the case where it's like when you take from when it's smaller artists. Yeah, people like Drake more than they like the smaller artists. They haven't developed enough of a connection yet. I mean, people love X, but I think that's what usually happens. So like in the event, and I'm not saying he be stealing because I don't know for certain, but when you're how he ends up doing it, how people can do it and still like make stuff their own. It's like it'll be a part of like their era or whatever. There's still a way to do it. Like even when it comes to the big artists, I don't think anybody should be stealing for real. But
yeah.
I think you should, if you're inspired, that's fine. And I think he does a great job of like getting new artists, like Fetty Wap or whatever. Like when he was doing My Way or whatever, getting on songs with new artists and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you should take people blows.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. But I mean,
or give credit if you take.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna do it, at least hop on a song or something. Like let us know.
Right.
You good? But it's funny because I think
the man dead to himself. Oh my boy.
Who else home was it gonna be?
I said my bad.
What was you about to say?
I was gonna say I think with singers it's also different.
It is very different.
I mean, but it's the same. People can sing. They can sing the entire song, and people don't care. It's the exact same thing. But yes, it's the exact. If you came out trying to rap, it's a cover. I'm just rapping Jay-Z song.
But I think that's because
you'll be like, hey, if you don't get off my.
I think that's because of like the history of rap versus the history of just singing in general. Like, not all singers write, but. And that doesn't necessarily matter in the world of singing. But and I was gonna say that, but in the world of hip hop,
rappers take great pride in the fact that they wrote their own stuff, and they discredit people who don't write their own raps. Versus as a singer, I can sing somebody else's stuff. I do write my stuff, and I take great pride in it. But I'm willing to sing other people's stuff. So it's different, like the standards that are held, and also like that's a huge thing in rap. Like if you say somebody didn't write their own rap, then like you basically disrespecting that person at that point. Versus as a singer, if you tell me I didn't write the song, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Refer to the publishing, right? It sound good. Like I mean, it is what it is. Even with like Dolly Parton songs, I Will Always Love You. She wrote that song and she sang it first, and Whitney Houston sang it, and now she be like, "That's Whitney's song." Yeah. But guess who getting the check?
But she didn't even know she wrote it, right? I mean, she didn't even know she sang it until she heard it on the radio, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was like you just listening. Oh, this is my song.
Refer to the publisher. Like that's what I'm saying. But if that was a rap song.
Yeah,
it's different.
That is true, but it's also cause rap in a lot of ways is similar to, and this is a weird comparison, but it's similar to TikTok, right? TikTok its whole thing is about taking one piece of content and how can we reuse this and do something else with it. So that's why you have like stitches and you have other videos, and it's like TikTok did a great job of like if you have a thought, people can just pile on top of the original thought. And I think hip hop, if you look at what it started out. They took drum breaks from other songs. They literally was like, look, I like this drum break. Boom, we're gonna put this. Boom. And we have something new. So like a part of me, as much as I would be like, oh, you can't take stuff, like a big part of what made hip hop, I mean sampling.
Yeah.
It's like a big part of it, granted, you make it your own, but a big part of it is taking something, like quite literally taking something. Artists. And then putting it in a new context, and then having somebody rap over the new stuff, which is funny, but that's kind of what it is to a degree. It's not saying it's only in hip hop, but right, that's where how it started.
That's where it started, yeah. But so y'all do that in that regard as far as producing and beat making and stuff. But when it comes to lyrics and writing, it's a different standard.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just that. Also in reggae, they use the same beat.
Oh, reggae, they be passing this beat. Hold on, I just made this. Let me get this to 50 artists. Like, y'all all got it. Go ahead. And I mean,
mega remix.
Yeah.
And that's where hip hop originated. So,
but that's how they. But you can. Well, I mean, not saying you can't do that in hip hop, but people don't do that as like we don't want to hear 30 people on the same.
Remix.
Not anymore. This ain't 2003.
One Margarita got another one coming out. This is gonna be the third version, the fourth version of the song. So I mean, it depends. It really just depends.
That's crazy.
It definitely depends, but I mean, it's very different. But either way, in either scenario, in either genre. Whether you're singing, you're rapping, you're drawing, painting, doing any other type of art, the most important thing is that you're putting yourself into it. And you're creating something new because you're putting yourself into it and not just taking something from somebody else.
Yeah. I think I really appreciate hearing people. Yeah. Like actually hearing people, because it's something that I just recently learned. Like when you're saying like being authentic, being like a lot of times we like to say being authentic and we're thinking about it only in the good ways. Like sometimes being authentic is like this feels terrible, and you being okay with this feeling terrible and presenting it as feeling terrible, and that's why you get some of the stuff where it's like this was made from pain, and it's like this felt terrible. It was authentic to me because it felt terrible. But like that's the important part is still like being okay with putting it out, even if people don't necessarily agree. Like, because I mean, Kanye isn't the only person who's put out albums where people was like, I don't really like the direction.
Keep putting out albums.
You just gotta keep it doing. Like, I mean, Wayne put out that whole rock that whole rock album, I erased that from my memory for a little bit, and then he had his little How to Love stage where he was actually he playing the guitar and like he was really good. He's really singing, and people still love Wayne for it because it was him. Yeah, he's like, listen, I like skateboarding.
Yeah, I like let me live.
Yeah, so it's just as long as it feels like it's an actual part of you, I think at least for me, I'm cool with it. I can't say I'm not gonna speak for the masses.
Said, oh y'all want the music? There you go.
Yeah, he's like, what is?
I'm living like I want to skateboard.
Yeah. Man, look, Snoop did a gospel album, a reggae album. He rapped.
Yeah.
Did he do R&B?
Talk show.
No, not yet.
He did sensual seduction.
That's close as
You know what I'm saying? Like
close as
And then he was like, you know what? I want to do some TV show. Let's cook with Martha Stewart.
Right.
And it's like it all felt like as long as it all feels like you, we can keep this going. Like,
right.
Yeah, rebranding.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because we not just one-dimensional people.
Yeah.
Like, you got to grow with us, give us room to grow, find ourselves, experience new things, try things out, and just enjoy life. This goes back to a couple pods ago, maybe last pod, the purpose of life is to live, experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we doing.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, you got to. It's okay, and it's really okay to try new stuff. Cause like, as much as I was talking about the restaurant example, like if Chick-fil-A decided that they wanted to do half chicken and half a vegan restaurant, at first I would be like, that's weird, but people would still want to try it because like if this is what you actually want to do, well, hey.
They did introduce a cauliflower sandwich, but they still they still use all the same stuff, so it's cross contaminated.
Yeah, but the moral of the story: don't be afraid to try new things. Try new. If you want to make a cauliflower burger, go for it. Make a cauliflower burger.
Word. But do y'all have any other final thoughts on cauliflower burgers? Still like an artist, being true to who you are, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, for me, still like an artist is being inspired by any and everything and taking what resonates with you or using what resonates with you as inspiration to create something greater or something that means something to you, just creating something that is you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really just taking something, using it as a reference, and then getting rid of the original reference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really what it is. That's the only the best stuff that I've made when it comes to like borrowing from other people is if I started there and then as soon as I get into whatever I'm doing, I just kind of push it away.
Mm-hmm.
So let me not even look at this now. And now I'm going off of wherever I feel.
Mm-hmm.
See where it takes you.
Yeah, because you're just using it as a little compass. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're going north. All right, cool. I like north. Let's go ahead. So yeah, just use your inspiration and then make it your own, like you said.
I would say I agree with both of you, but yeah, just focus on making it authentic to who you are. But also don't think too hard about what's authentic to you, because then it's not going to feel authentic. But just do what makes your heart happy. But don't be out here stealing people's stuff, for real.
Yeah, some of y'all be stealing.
Yeah, some of y'all just be taking stuff. It's not cute.
Some of y'all need to be sued.
Be creative.
Yeah.
And, what Quincy say, leave 20% for God.
I thought it was 10, but 20
I thought it was 30.
Leave some room for God to come in. And
Word. Don't just go breaking into people's houses, stealing people's couches, talking about it's yours.
And just create as much as you can. Have fun with it. But thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Grae Area Podcast.
Yeah.
I am Shakoya D.
Be in breeze.
It's the money.
And once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join our Patreon. Thank you to the good people of the Grae area for joining us for another live episode. And thank you guys for joining us wherever and whenever you are watching. We appreciate you all, and we will see you next week. Bye!
Adios.
Stay blessed, stay black, people.
Peace and love.
And know yourself. Know your worth.
Jukebox, hit me with another jam.
Get on my face. Get on my motherfucking face. Please.
Push the goddamn button.